Thanks very much, and it's a pleasure to be here again among conservatives. I feel like I'm back in Tennessee. And Tom, you mentioned something a minute ago about the Congress only having a 9% approval rating. I told the Speaker it's not as bad as you might think. Actually, there are three things that poll lower than we do, so we're glad to get invited anywhere. Even home is a good place to get invited. But number one, Lindsay Lohan polls lower than we do. North Korea and meth labs, so it's not as bad as it might seem. I'm gonna go through very quickly, and John and Kay, both of y'all, you're the only two I really understood well up here. So being from Texas, and I want to very quickly. I was the mayor of Johnson City. I practiced medicine for 31 years, and I'm an OB/GYN doctor. I delivered my own voters, and it worked out pretty well for me. So. We had last August 6th, and I know you all have had great tragedy hit this city right here, and we had a very narrow little place, August the 6th, that underwent a 1,500-year flood. Took 100 homes out. These people lost their homes. Fortunately, we didn't lose any lives. A lot of animals were lost, people lost their homes, and many of these were very poor people. We had to make a decision in our community. Do we want to salvage this community, or we're going to let them be destroyed? We brought FEMA in. We were too small. So we got public-private partnerships, and I'm going to go very quickly through this, not through all the details. But before you could have got a FEMA trailer down there, this August the 6th, we will have 35 people in homes that are totally free, totally furnished, and the key handed to them. And that's a pretty remarkable thing when people get together and work together as neighbors. And we save that community, and the people there will be forever grateful. People donated their time, the materials, their hard work. Churches, the county mayors, individuals. One individual in Massachusetts saw this and donated $300,000. So we want to thank you. It's not all government. And it's been said many, many times before, I think government gets in the way a lot of times, and I don't believe to this day it would have been permitted. I am going to talk a little bit about the Affordable Health Care Act, because one of the reasons I got myself elected to Congress, I'm a veteran and served in the U.S. military 40 years ago. Right now I was near the DMZ in Korea. And John, just to be a little bit, to sort of take an issue with a little thing you said, I asked myself, did my service matter to this great country? I went back there last year for the first time in 40 years, and what did I see? 40 years ago, I saw a country under a totalitarian dictator that was digging its way out of a war, a terrible war. What did I see 40 years later? I saw 50 million free people. That's what I saw. 50 million free people. Thanks to what the American soldier did. I saw the 8th largest economy in the world. And in 1960, Afghanistan, which has the 4th poorest economy in the world, and Korea had the same economy. So was my service worth it? You bet you it was, because we have 50 million people who can worship, they can go on with their businesses and go along with their lives because they're free, because of what America is. That's why I'm proud of my service. You know, we had the Affordable Care Act, and I'm going to go very quickly. 2,700-page bill. I'm not too smart. I read all of it. And I didn't vote for it before I did. I went ahead and read that bill. We've got over 20,000 pages. Folks, healthcare decisions should be made between a doctor and the patient and that patient's family, not the federal government, not the insurance company. And what we have right now is one of the destructions of the greatest healthcare systems in the world. When I was a freshman medical student in Memphis, Tennessee, my first pediatric rotation was St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I walked in there as a medical student to start IVs on these kids, and I'll get broken up talking about it. 90% of them died. When I looked at those children, 90% died. Today, 90% of those children live, and they live good and healthy lives. And my partner, my medical partner's son, at 3 years old, had a cancer that metastasized to his brain with a 95+% chance of dying. Today, this year, that boy just graduated from high school, will start college this year. That's what we are in this country. We cannot stop that. I'm going to mention just a couple of things about Republicans, and Rich was here a minute ago, and I do want to explain to him that what a Democrat is in the South is now a conservative Republican. That's what they are. They just changed shirts, and the party didn't, the people didn't change, the party did. And I'm also going to mention to you one of the things we've got to quit doing as Republicans and as conservatives. I liken it to a boxing match. The Republican and the Democrat are out in the middle of the boxing match. I'm going to finish this story right quick in a question. And they're pounding each other, beating each other to death. And guess what happens? The Democrat goes back to his corner, and we towel him off, and we wipe his face off. And we as Republicans go to our corner, and our cut man, the first thing to do is bangs him in the nose. We've got to quit doing that to our own people to get them elected, and quit beating our people up. We've got to get behind them and get them elected. Thank you.
Congressman, Doctor, thanks for being here. I understand you're pro-coal and willing to say it, pro-coal. I wanted to ask about energy because it seems to me as a pollster it's a sleeper issue. Americans complain that we send jobs overseas, nothing's made in America. Energy is made in America. It's off our shores, it's under our feet. We would be creating jobs here for the non-college educated by and large. And we would lessen our dependence, of course, on foreign dictators. But I think we're starting to lose the energy message over Keystone Pipeline, which a majority of Americans support its passage. We're losing big time on hydraulic fracturing, otherwise known as fracking. What advice can you give all of us and really your colleagues to help message better on a pro-energy, particularly pro-hydraulic fracturing? You know, right here in New York, you've got these pickup trucks with New York license plates. They go over the border into Pennsylvania. They stay at the motels just to get in line to try to find a job in Pennsylvania. North Dakota has less than 1% unemployment rate because of their energy resources. What can we do?
And I belong to a group in Washington called the House Energy Action Team, the HEAT team. And Kellyanne, what we're talking about is exactly what you're talking about, is to get the truth out there. Look, we need an all-the-above energy approach. You've heard that stuff. But we use coal in Tennessee at Eastman Chemical Corporation, which is about 15 miles from where I live. They use 70 carloads of it every day. I used organic chemistry to get into medical school. They use it to actually make stuff. And they use the carbon molecule to make plastics and all kinds of things along with natural gas. And look, I think where the wind works and all that works, that's fine also. But right now in this country, we have the largest known carbon reserves in the world. And last year, $138 billion was invested in private industries, invested that much in energy. The Russians invested $30 billion. Guess where $20 billion of it was? In the USA. This is where the energy action is, and as a matter of fact, what Steve Forbes told us at the meeting we have on Thursday mornings, you've attended many times, is that North Dakota's doing so well they have to import their own prostitutes. They don't have enough.
Okay, moving on to David Martosco.
I can't follow that. At a memorial service for the victims of the big fertilizer explosion in West Texas, President Obama said the following: we'll be there even after the cameras leave and after the attention turns elsewhere. Your country will remain ever ready to help you recover and rebuild and reclaim your community. Yet, on June 13th, FEMA denied disaster aid to the town of West Texas for an awful lot of that rebuilding. On the same day, by the way, the White House announced that they had declared a disaster status for the state of Vermont after they had some storms, but not for West Texas. So the New York Times yesterday wrote that Texas doesn't need the help. They've got all the money they need. Who's right and who's wrong in this? Is it fair to demonize FEMA for playing favorites because of perceptions that Texas has got all the money they need and they can do it themselves? Or is that a good thing?
No, there should be. Well, first of all, the President said if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. I'll go over the health care bill if anybody wants to read it line by line. I asked him to do that. He didn't do it. I hope they're not playing favorites. That would be very bad because the people in this country, whether you're in Oklahoma with a tornado, which we've experienced, that killed 9 of my constituents, whether you're in Texas or Vermont, or where it ought to be a fair process wherever it may be. And it should not be a political process. It should be based on the merits of the case. And I hope it's based on the merits of that.
Steve Doocy.
Can I ask you about what's going on right now between the United States and Russia? I know it started famously with this administration. They're going to hit that big reset button and everything's going to be better. It isn't. Syria's a mess. They're on one side, we're on the other. And now this Snowden thing with Putin, whatever he's doing it. It looks like our president, I mean, we are the only superpower left, technically, when you add up the assets. But it does look like Russia's winning in this.
Well, I'm not giving Putin my ring. I know that. Steve, there's no question that Obama got his head handed to him at this last economic summit. It was embarrassing, quite frankly, from what I saw it and how it was reported. And I think certainly that now we're in a situation where we miss the opportunity. If we were going to do something in Syria, that was a year and a half ago. I think right now you've got so many terrorist groups in there. It's a hodgepodge of Shias, Muslims, Sunnis, Alawites, Hezbollah, could go on, Al-Qaeda, on and on. We don't win. There's no way we can win there except with maybe humanitarian aid. Militarily, we should stay out of there. And the sooner we get out of Afghanistan, the better I'll like it.
And one quick question from the floor, and then we have two announcements. We'll have two quick announcements.
Question over here.
Hi, Congressman. First, I want to thank you for your service, and I certainly sympathize with your view. I have a two-pronged question. First is, do you believe that it is the role of the U.S. military to aid other nations in their freedom and spreading democracy? And if so, do you think that is a fiscally conservative position to hold?
I think I agree more with John. The person who has the most to risk in a war are the soldiers. You have your life to give up. I've been to Afghanistan twice. I've been to the forward operating bases there to see where our soldiers were injured, and as a father, as a parent of three, and as a soldier, I've seen the terrific sacrifices these young people make. And look, I'm a Vietnam War veteran. Our country basically turned their back on me and my comrades, and it bothers me to this day that our country did that. We're not doing that this time. And no, the military doesn't take it. We follow orders. The politicians are the ones that make the policy, and the military carries it out. So it's not us that do that. It's the politicians that do that. And it's not sound fiscal policy. I agree with you. The military should be there to protect the country. And I want to put this for the record here tonight. Because those habeas corpus rights, those very, very important individual rights, I voted against the Patriot Act. I wasn't there when it was first founded, but I voted against it. And until an amendment that Bob Goodlatte brought up the last time, I voted against the National Defense Authorization Act for the very same thing. You should not imprison an American citizen and hold them for an inordinate length of time without a fair trial in front of a judge and a jury. Look, we had the Rosenbergs who sold the secret of the atomic bomb back in the 50s. We didn't shoot them down with a drone. We arrested them. We put them in jail. They had a defense attorney. We had a prosecution, a trial by jury, and a sentence was carried out. That's how that's what makes us different than any other place in the world. And if we change that, we will be the same as the other. And I don't want to be. I want to be America.
Dr. Phil Rowe, thank you for being here.